More raids and arrests are stretching across Belgium as some of Europe's most wanted men continue slipping through security. Police arrested 5 more people today as they continue hunting for Paris attackers.
Joining us now on the phone is former CIA Covert Operations Officer and president of Diligence LLC, a major global intelligence and security firm, Mike Baker. Mike, you've spent more than 15 years working in the CIA. What exactly are U.S. intelligence agencies doing to fight ISIS overseas in places like Belgium and France, as well as here at home?
Well, the first part of that is liaison. So we have very close relationships, obviously, with French intel, with the Belgian authorities, with the British, obviously, and Germans and others. And so a big part of the counterterrorism effort over in the EU between the CIA and other intel organizations is this liaison, sharing of intelligence. And that obviously it's an ongoing process, right? It's never going to be perfect. You're always going to be somewhat worried about sources and methods, so nobody ever opens up the kimono fully. But, you know, after something like Paris and going years back after something like 9/11, there's a concerted effort to try to ensure that operational leads are shared properly so that you can take the action that you need.
Mike, do you think President Obama's military strategy of containment and airstrikes against ISIS in Syria and Iraq is working?
Well, I think it's working if what we want is a stalemate, while people try to sort out all the bits and pieces and the moving parts. And I think the White House, the problem has been they haven't been able to decouple ISIS from the question of Assad, Bashar Assad, and what's going to happen with him. And I think unless we can do that and be more pragmatic and say, all right, fine, obviously Assad's a butcher, his dad was a butcher, but the reality is you have to deal with the problems that are staring you immediately in the face. You know, you don't very often get the luxury of a grand strategy with a sweeping view where everybody signs on to do all these various things. So I think we do have the ability at this time to remove ISIS from the picture, and then we're just going to have to pivot and try to deal with Assad. But until we do that, and if we keep up this limited air campaign, as you pointed out, with some additional intelligence sharing, we're going to be talking about this for some time to come, and we're going to be having this problem of trying to contain and avoid Paris-like atrocities around the world.
Mike, you said we can do something to take out ISIS. What exactly needs to be done? What needs to change right now to take ISIS out?
Well, the reality is, and this is an unfortunate reality, and nobody wants to do this because we're all tired, is that you need to recapture territory. The reason why ISIS was able to conduct the Paris situation was because they had the ability to plot and plan and train in the comfort of their own turf. This is exactly why al-Qaeda was able to conduct 9/11 when they had Afghanistan as a home base. And so in order to take back that territory, you need people on the ground. And I'm afraid that if we wait for that happy day when the Saudis, the Jordanians, or some local regional coalition will do this, that's just not going to happen. The reality is, as much as we may not want to, the U.S. has to be at the pointy edge of the spear in order to do this. Now, we can pull on. We have a unique opportunity now, I think, because of the Paris atrocities, to pull on partners that previously would not have been willing to sign on for the next level of effort. But I think we can do that. But without that, without being able to recapture the territory on the ground, you can't win this through an air campaign alone. And then also that hoped for turning of the social tide, of addressing the root causes of this. That part of it, set that aside. That's not realistic.
But Mike, even if ISIS is dislodged from Syria and Iraq, its strongholds there, we've also seen, of course, these terror cells popping up in other places, Belgium, Egypt, and Africa. What kind of strategy then realistically might work? I mean, you talk about addressing the root causes, but really that is a very daunting task.
Oh, it is. You're absolutely correct. And it's a great question, and I don't have enough bandwidth to figure the answer out. I do know that terrorism has morphed. It always has. Terrorism changes and adapts. So, yes, people will argue and say, well, putting people on the ground to deal with this, you take away their territory, they're just going to show up somewhere else. Well, you know what? That's right. And then we'll deal with them somewhere else. But what are we going to do? Just put our heads in the sand and say, well, I hope we don't have these incidents, and if we do, well, we're going to wring our hands and say, oh, well, there's not much we can do about it. The longer they're there, the longer they're able to to adapt to having some type of state, the better they're going to be at lashing out the West and also in recruiting. One of the big successes they've had through this territory and the holding of what they call it their own caliphate or their own state, as they've been jonesing for all these years, is the ability to recruit. We need to take that away. But yes, of course, I don't disagree. When you do that, when you destroy ISIS on the ground, recapture that territory and move on, then yes, terrorism will pop up in other forms and other fashions. That's always the way it works. And then you deal with whatever is staring you in the face. It's an unfortunate reality, but it's being pragmatic, and that's how the world works.
All right, Mike Baker. Mike, thank you for that analysis.
Sure. Thank you very much.